Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mike Williams. Going through a quick blog training. We're going to talk about pretty much the design today. We're going to talk about how to start writing your blog posts and things of that nature. But most importantly, the first thing I want to talk about is the consistency, guys. Blogging is a long-term marketing method. The cool thing about blogging is that if you blog every day, you're going to have so many pieces of content out there after 90 to 100 days. You'll have so many pieces of content that will be out there that won't be touched. They're going to be there. People are going to be searching about the things that you're writing, and as long as you're constantly pumping content into the marketplace and being consistent about it, your skills are going to get better. Okay, you're gonna learn more tricks. The way you write is gonna change. Everything's just gonna come all into place, but you gotta stay consistent. That's the #1 rule. I could share all these tips with you, but if you don't understand the first rule of consistency, you're gonna fail on the internet, or at least blogging. So please be consistent, guys. If you're on my team, I'm expecting you to be consistent. And what I mean by on my team, the Empower Network, we have teams of bloggers out there. People that we introduce to the viral blogging platform. We build teams. So everybody on my team out there, make sure you're writing a blog post today. If you're not on the Empower Network team and you're just simply here to get the training, that's fantastic. You need to be consistent no matter what. All right, the first thing we're going to talk about is the design. Okay, how is your blog designed? If you want to monetize your blog, things like banners are a huge deal, and the banners have to be sending people to a system that converts. So, for example, if you see on my screen, you see this big banner at the top. If you scroll down a little further, you'll see some more cool banners on the side, and they're just interesting banners that people are going to click on, and it's going to take them to another offer. If you also look on the side here, I have my podcast RSS feed, I have my videos from my YouTube RSS feed, and I also have recent blog posts here so people can get familiar with my blog posts, and I also have Mike's newsletter blog. So this is from my other blog where people can also go get information from me. So you can also add an opt-in form. So you can be offering you can offer them a tool, you can offer them, access to your newsletter. You can offer them anything with an opt-in form, and once they submit their name and email, it'll pretty much take them to, a different page or whatever you were offering. And always keep in mind that you have to be sending them to an offer that converts, something that's consistent with your advertising. Is super important. And with the Empower Network blog, it already comes customizable with these different banners so that we can convert people and send them to our offer pages and stuff like that. Okay, all right, fantastic. So far we're doing good. So the first thing I want you to think about when you start to write your blog, I want you to think about why you're writing this blog. What's the purpose of that blog? Okay, take a few minutes just to ask yourself, what's the purpose? You're trying to build a relationship. You want to teach a certain subject. You're trying to advertise for something. What is the purpose of that blog? Once you know what that purpose is, you begin to write with purpose. You begin to write towards the thing that the action you want your reader to take. Okay, so make sure you know exactly why you're writing this blog post, because that's going to create so much momentum when you start to write the blog post. Okay, and then once you get done towards the end and it's time for that call to action, you already know what you were looking for. Now, this particular blog post was all about focus. I was teaching about focus. I wanted people to listen to my podcast on focus. So that the purpose of this blog was to get people to actually listen to my podcast that I did on focus. Okay? And that's exactly what happened. And now I'm going to show you how to segue right into the writing. The first thing you want to start with is your heading. Start with that heading. The heading, if you don't have a heading, you shouldn't be writing a blog post. Always have your heading, because your heading is going to do what? It's going to help you to have that consistency with the purpose of the blog content. Okay, so always start with the heading, and then once you start from the heading, you start to run into the first, the H2 tag, and we're not going to really talk about H1, H2 tags because that's SEO stuff, but that first H2 tag is kind of like a reminder of why they're here and what they're going to get. Okay. So the first blog post says how to create surefire focus and communicate from your core influence. Awesome. Now the second one is letting them know what they're going to get. Learn 3 decisions to launch yourself to success in any business by getting more focused. Fantastic. And now they start to read. When people start to read your content, I want you to think of a story, or you know what I mean. Think of a story or anything that relates to your heading, that relates to the topic of the blog post, and I want you to go from there. Start getting into that head note or that scenario to kind of bring people in to the content. Okay, and then you simply start to write from there. You know, I like to ask questions at the beginning of my blog post to kind of get people in agreement with me, you know, or get them to say, get them a little more curious to keep reading. And I always have an image right here at the top. Okay, I like to have this first piece very small because statistically speaking, they said that people actually continue to read more blog posts that has to have this little paragraph here as opposed to the big paragraph. Okay, and I always have an image. The image just makes things a lot, you know, just makes things a lot neater, organized, you know, looks good. And you can also make these images clickable. So if you want them to click to another offer or to click to some type of capture page, you can make these images clickable, and we actually have a video. If you go back in a couple of these blog posts, you can get that information from another blog post. All right, fantastic. So as you continue to write, you know what your purpose is. So your writing is going to gear towards your purpose. And I want to make sure if you got a specific offer you want somebody to definitely look into, make sure you mention it at least 2 to 3 times throughout the blog post. But make it flow with your writing. Don't just, you know, throw it out there and be like, you know, annoying. Make it flow with the writing. You know, for example, every decision you have made up to this date has gotten you where you are. If not, join me. See, I asked the question, I wish for you to be in a good place today. If not, join me and the others in the Empower Network. So I just threw it right in there, okay? And I let it flow with the writing. This image is always, I always throw a random image in there as well. You know, just something, you know, that kind of throws them off their rocker a little bit. And it kind of helps them to maintain with the blog as well. And it keeps glowing. Everything keeps flowing. And we get to finally the podcast, and they hit play. They hit play, they listen, and then I give them a set of steps. I like to call the action steps. I usually do 3 steps. Sign up for the newsletter, leave a comment, share this post. Okay, so that's the call of the action that I want them to take. And then PS, you know, PS could be anything. You could, you know, be reiterating your offer, or, you know, saying something kooky. I just said, you know, you're great, I believe in you, and stuff like that. So this blog post was very simplistic. There's not a lot of words here because obviously I had the audio, but there's not a lot of words. It didn't take me long to do this, okay? And then I got a lot of love with this blog post because if you look down at the bottom, we have 20 comments on this blog post, which is fantastic. 20 comments, people interacting. I'm interacting with people, and this is the type of stuff that you want happening on your blog post. You want interaction from other people because the search engines are going to say, wow, this guy must know what he's talking about on this particular topic. So all these people are here, we're interacting, we're conversating, and that's what makes it, you know, that's what makes it just a really dope blog post, guys, is all that interaction. People start to share because that's what you want to do. You want to write with the intent that people, you want to write knowing that people are going to share, right? So when you're writing this, you want to say people have to share this. So I need to really stick to what the purpose is. Stick to the purpose. That's why we start with the headline, as I mentioned before. Stick to that. Make it consistent throughout your writing, and people will start to relate to that, and they'll be like, wow, this is really good stuff. I'm going to share this with my audience. And that's what you want to ultimately have done, guys. So, I mean, if you put all those different things together between your design, the why, the headline, the consistency, the call to actions, you're going to have an awesome blog post each and every time. And it doesn't take long. In the beginning, don't take, you know, hours making blog posts. Do them, get them out the way, and as you keep going, as you keep being consistent, you're going to get better and better. The flow is going to be better. You're eventually going to see yourself writing words upon words upon words. And then you got to have to tell yourself, man, I got to slow down, right? But that's pretty much it, guys. This is Mike Williams, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.